Parabel, wisdom waits for those who listen. You were born with a sword, sharp, gleaming, forged specifically for you, but you let it rust inside the scabbard. Now, it doesn't cut a thing.
What sword? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about that talent you had. That thing you did naturally better than anyone else. The thing that made you feel alive when you did it. When was the last time you used it?
I don't have time for hobbies. I have responsibilities.
I didn't say hobby. I said gift. And you abandoned it. Let me tell you about a swordsman I once knew. In a remote village, a boy was born with a rare gift. At 10 years old, he picked up a sword for the first time, and it was as if the blade was an extension of his own arm. Fluid movement, natural precision, a warrior's instinct. The weapon master said, "This boy was born for the sword. He will be legendary." By 15, he was already beating grown men. By 20, no one in the village could defeat him. The master said, "Go to the capital. Train with the great masters. You could become the greatest swordsman in the kingdom." But the boy, now a man, hesitated
Why?
because the capital was far, uncertain, risky, and back in the village he had a safe offer, working at his father's forge, guaranteed pay, a predictable life, no glory, but no risk. He thought, "I'll work for a few years, save some money, then I'll go back to training." He hung his sword on the wall. He promised himself, "It's just temporary." But weeks turned into months. Months turned into years. The forge consumed his time. Exhaustion consumed his energy. And the sword just sat there, hanging, untouched, rusting.
Did he never train again?
He tried. 10 years later, he took the sword off the wall. But the blade was dull, covered in rust spots. And worse, his hands no longer remembered the movements. His muscles had forgotten the dance. The gift was still there, somewhere deep down, but buried under a decade of neglect. He tried to sharpen the sword, tried to train again, but he wasn't the same. The fire had gone out. The passion had turned into mere nostalgia. He died at 60 as a blacksmith, not as a swordsman. The rusty sword was buried with him. It never cut anything that mattered.
That's sad. But at least he had a stable life.
Stable isn't alive. He had a life, but not the life he was meant to have. Every time he saw young warriors passing by, something died inside him, because he knew that could have been him, but he chose safety.
Maybe he made the right choice. Not everyone can follow their dreams.
It wasn't a dream, it was a gift. And do you know the difference? Dreams are desires, gifts are responsibilities. When you are born with a real talent, you have an obligation to use it. To waste a gift is to rob the world of something only you could give.
But I have bills to pay. I need to be practical.
And where has that gotten you? Are you happy, fulfilled, or are you just surviving while that thing you did brilliantly rots inside of you?
I don't know if I'm still good at it.
Because you stopped. A sword rusts when it isn't used. Muscles atrophy when they aren't trained. Talents die when they are ignored. But there is still time to sharpen it again. You know exactly what your sword is. That thing you used to do where time would just stop. The thing people praise naturally. the thing that made you feel complete, and you hung it on the wall. You said, I'll come back to it later. One day, I'll pick it up again. When I have time. When I have money. When the time is right. But the right time never comes, because you always find an excuse. And meanwhile, the sword rusts, and a part of you dies along with it. You feel it, that emptiness, that feeling that you are betraying something essential inside you.
What if I try and find out I'm not good anymore?
Then you find out. But at least you tried. At least you honored the gift while you still could. Better to die trying to be a swordsman than to die as a regretful blacksmith. And you, listening to me right now, you know what your abandoned gift is. It might be art, music, writing. It could be anything. But you know, and you know it's rotting away. Take the sword off the wall, scrub off the rust. It will hurt to see how much you've lost. But there is still a blade beneath the decay. Write in the comments, my sword is, and finish the sentence. Not with what you do, but with what you should be doing, because swords weren't made to decorate walls, they were made to cut. And you were born to cut something that no one else can. Don't let the sword rust to death.